Man, what was in the water at Disney Channel HQ in the late 2010s? Two hit Disney Channel movies that will seemingly lead to an infinite number of sequels as long as interest in these films stays kind of high. According to Wikipedia, which I'm allowed to cite because I'm not yet a grad student, this movie pulled in 6.7 million viewers on its opening weekend. We have to remember with streaming movies, it doesn't account for people who watch this movie couch co-op style. I'm sure there were plenty of kids who watched this during sleepovers and 23-year-olds who watched this in Discord servers. Yeah, I know. As is the case with most DCOMs, however, the views were high, but the ratings never seemed to match, which is a little upsetting because they really upped the spectacle in this one. That being said, the issues with this movie are pretty glaring no matter how pretty they are to look at. Much like Zombies 4, this movie also has the unique challenge. Well, I guess it's not unique if both movies did it in their quadrilogies, huh? It has the challenge of sending off our old characters while also setting up our new ones. But unlike Zombies 4, it actually had the help of a short film to get things started. We'll get into that a little bit later, but for now, let's focus on how weird it is that this is a Disney original movie and not a Disney Channel original movie. Which is so weird because I just thought about the fact that kids who are watching this movie might not even know what Disney Channel is. It's kind of like that whole be careful who you make fun of in middle school thing, except this movie is still kind of ass. But you can tell that this movie has a noticeably bigger budget, or at least some better CGI software because it looks leagues better than it did before. Well, at some points it looks better than it did before. At other points it looks like they gave a dog a crayon and some whippets and let it go absolutely crazy. We still get the classic narrated storybook opening, but this time it's done by Uma. Her job is to explain why even though the budget is $40 million, they couldn't get Dove Cameron back on the payroll. She also vaguely explains the plot of the last three movies and also explains how she's come into her position as headmaster of Auradon Prep. This is like when you get promoted at work and now you're on the same level as a 55-year-old woman who's been working there for her whole life. Seriously, how the hell is she qualified for this? Forgiveness is a powerful thing, don't get me wrong, but let's not forget that Uma did try to kill Ben. Can we focus on the fact that she tried to kill Ben? It wasn't even that long ago. Who in their right mind would elect a convicted felon to a position of power such as this? Oh, my bad. Uma was never convicted. Since Uma is now the headmaster, the fairy godmother has been promoted to the president of Auradon. This is because Mal fucked off, and because Mal fucked off, Ben also fucked off, and because Ben fucked off, Ben's parents also fucked off. So I guess the entire Florian family tree just has no agency of their own. I mean, seriously, you left a country in control of someone who tried to, once again, kill your son and what is basically the assistant principal of a high school. Uma's first order of having any authority at all is to tell the person who is above her in the chain of command that she wants to let in the most evil people from the most evil place ever, which of course the person in power rejects. But after about 45 seconds of talking it over, the person in power decides that the main protagonist just might be right. Wow, good to see they're really mixing up the formula, and it only took 4 movies. I do want to give this movie a little bit of praise in the direction department. It actually feels a lot more like a movie and less of an episode of Livin' Maddie. Firstly, this movie is not filmed in widescreen. I mean, I've never been a 1.85 by 1 purist, but I do kind of think it helps the experience a bit. It at least makes you feel like you're watching a movie. But that, mixed with the fact that the camera quality is noticeably higher, leads to a much better experience. Okay, anything would have been an improvement over the first 3 movies because I'm pretty sure they were filmed on a Nintendo DSi. But they also do decide to move the camera now, which is interesting. They would do it in musical numbers in the earlier movies, but anything outside of that, the camera was so still that it was basically invisible. Uma says that she's doing what Mal would have wanted, which is probably true. Mal did love putting people in an amount of risk that was way over the amount of reward, which is probably why she's not in this movie because she's taking that trip to Vegas. This is also what Uma says this is what Carlos would have wanted, which is of course a nod to the untimely passing of Cameron Boyce. That being said, in my honest opinion, they don't do nearly enough to explain why the original cast isn't present. And also, I don't think it's a good idea to use Carlos's death as a motivational factor for a character who's ultimately not even in the movie. I think it's sweet that they referenced him, but that's it. They should have referenced him. Using him as a plot device is another thing. The Descendants Royal Wedding short film does actually talk a lot about what happened to the original cast, but here's the funny thing. I had no clue that this film existed until someone left a comment about it on my Zombies 4 video. So if I, someone who has spent the runtime of a film talking about these movies, did not know that this short film existed, how much of its audience do you think did? Well, judging by the numbers, not a lot at all. About 1 in 20 people who watched this movie on release week watched the short. And the key detail that I put in there was on release week. That gap is just gonna keep widening as this movie stays out longer, because I promise you, nobody's going back to watch that film. I think Zombies and Descendants have put themselves in a difficult spot, as they can never really divorce themselves from their origins, and going forward, they're probably going to have to reference the original trilogies every time they get the chance in future entries. When, in all honesty, I think the stories would benefit themselves more if they never referenced the original films at all. Though if they decide to go that route, we can already acknowledge the fact that viewership numbers won't stay nearly as high, so they'll never do that. Regardless of all that, after Uma's moving speech, the fairy godmother sends out a letter of recommendation to Red, the daughter of the Queen of Hearts, played by HiKeiLoKei. Red is our main protagonist, and she fucking hates her mom because her mom is an authoritarian. And everyone knows there's no better way to fight an authoritarian government than with graffiti and property destruction. That'll show her. This scene must be impossible for people with protanopia to watch. I mean, a lot of this isn't even legible for me, and I'm not even colorblind. The song itself is solid, but the general consensus that I got after talking to people about it was that the song should have been a lot shorter. Upon listening to it again, it's not actually even that long of a song. It's only 3 minutes, but the movie is only an hour and 30 minutes long, and I still do think they probably could have trimmed the fat on this. But the song itself, 6.5 out of 10. So when they filmed this movie, HiKeiLoKei would have been 17 or 18 years old depending on when they started. Which is such an interesting choice to me because it's so clear that most of the Zombies cast aged out of their roles by the time the second movie rolled around. So if it were me and I was casting for this movie, I probably would have cast someone around 14 or 15 years old, which is what they did for Zombies 4. But the next movie in the series is already in production, and HiKeiLoKei is now 20, so tick-tock. Before getting captured by guards, Red is abducted by a crane and dropped off into the secret hideout of Maddox, played by Leonardo Nam. Maddox is the son of the Mad Hatter and also a genius inventor. He's also the only voice of reason in Red's life. But none of that matters because you're probably distracted by the fact that he's hot and wears guy liner. That being said, I have no idea why they cast Leonardo Nam. He's 44. He is the son of the Mad Hatter, and we haven't met any descendants who are old enough to operate a 16-wheeler, so I have no idea how old he's actually supposed to be portrayed as. His character kind of serves the purpose of voice of reason, which makes me want to think he's on the older side and is somewhat of a father figure to Red, but he doesn't look 44, and the amount of makeup that they put on him makes me think that he's not 44. Either way, they never really develop their relationship in this film, so your guess is as good as mine. Oh, and also Maddox made a time travel machine. Yeah, this is a time travel movie. I do not know what possessed him to make a time machine, or why he told Red about it, especially since he knows that Red has a penchant for stealing things and being an overall nuisance. You could probably guess what she does with the time travel machine, right? I mean, seriously, you put it in arm's reach of a pickpocket. Oh, and it fits in her pocket, by the way. Also, do we need to talk about the implications of Maddox having an instant access tube to the princess's quarters? I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a father figure, but this just screams royal booty call. Our next scene begins with a sparring match between the prettiest girl you've ever seen and the hottest dilf since Zhu Wenwu. This is Chloe Charming and Prince Charming, played by Malia Baker and Paulo Montalban. So this probably means that Chad is either adopted or Chloe somehow took all the Filipino genes after Chad was born. Because I promise you, this guy did not come from this guy. And if you think that's a reach, or maybe even a little racist, then I implore you to look at Cinderella, played by Brandy Norwood. It's cool that this movie just casually has the most beautiful family in history and forgets one of its members. Seriously, did they write this entire movie and then just forget that Chad is as white as Snow White? This is like Carlos all over again. I don't know, man. They must be drinking that enchanted forest water or something, because the only thing more confusing than Auradon's gene pool is its governmental structure. The second song of the movie is a short new rendition of So This Is Love. I like it, it's fun, but it's a minute long and doesn't do anything for the movie or the characters, and even though it's only a minute long, it's still wasting time. This song is here to remind you that Disney owns more intellectual property than everyone else on the earth combined, and that's it. 7 out of 10. Why do they feel the need to dedicate a song to showing us that Prince Charming and Cinderella are in fact in love? I think you forgot that this is a Disney Channel original movie also. Every adult couple in these movies is in love. You don't even need to tell us that. We just take that at face value these days. Before Chloe heads off for Auradon, Cinderella has one more gift for her. Glass? Whatever the fuck these are. I think a pair of shoes made of glass is something you get for someone you actually don't like. Back at the big evil place, and you can tell that this place is evil because this one is red, and then the last place was blue. The Queen of Hearts is royally pissed because her security detail couldn't catch one measly criminal. The only thing that I think you should be pissed at is your daughter's fuck-ass outfit, because the whole thing is fine until you get to the belt that just has her name on it. And we can't act like this is cool because her name is red. If some guy named Jonathan walked around doing this, we would make sure he never went outside again. It also sticks out like a sore thumb because it's the only white part of her outfit, so even if you don't want to look at it, the movie makes sure that you do. The Queen of Hearts is played by Rita Ora, and the first thing on her docket today is to teach Red a lesson in leadership. Red's first lesson in royal training is to punish the guard who couldn't catch her. The Queen lets Red decide how she wants to punish the guard, but she's very much pushing for the decapitation method of punishment. But Red isn't a psychopath, and she disappoints her mom by not killing an innocent soldier. Jesus, man, give the guy community service or something. I feel like if you can't catch a guy and you have all of these people, maybe killing more of those people isn't gonna help. The Queen decides that she'll do it herself, but before she can do that, Maddox rushes in with a letter. After reading the letter, the Queen decides that she's gonna send Red to Auradon Prep because she's evil and she wants Red to do evil things there. I mean, seriously, is any of this ringing a bell for you guys? Chloe and Cinderella are headed to Auradon Prep for orientation, but unfortunately for me, Prince Charming has to stay behind because he needs to go watch Chad play sports. So you're telling me the only thing Chad does in this movie is not be here and remove the hot dilf from my point of view? What the fuck is the point of this character? The Queen of Hearts license plate is Royal Flush, and I think that's fun, but fuck you guys for copping out and making it 10 letters. Half the fun of a license plate is that you have to do it within 7 or 8 spaces. And I don't care if you're the Queen, the RMV would have never allowed this. I mean, look at that, there's a space in here. Disgusting. Not only are you a tyrant, but you're a cheater. And what the fuck is this car? Did you make it in the Mario Kart 8 part selector? When the Queen and Red arrive at Auradon, we get the longest song of the movie and maybe the worst song of the movie. My main issue with this song is that it is so thematically lost. It starts as Red being a sad girl and the entire opening of the song is like an internal monologue. And then after the first verse, the Queen of Hearts just chimes in like it's her song and then name drops the song. And I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that? It's not that I have a problem with Red wanting love. I don't know why I would. It's just that we're 21 minutes into the movie now and there's been no reference of that. And I promise you in the next 70 minutes, there's not gonna be one either. And then after the Queen explains why niggas aren't shit, the song just shifts to a bunch of civilians and soldiers being like, ah, the evil people are here. The evil people that we knew would be here are here. Okay, well, to be fair, she did almost hit someone with her car. But seriously, what is this song about? The next issue I have with this song is that it is so damn long for no reason. This song goes for an astonishing 4 minutes and 23 seconds. This already makes it the longest song in the movie. But then there are dialogue breaks in the song that just make it last even longer. I mean, during the song is when the Charmings meet the Reds? I don't really know if they have a last name. We'll just call them the Reds. This is where the Charmings meet the Reds. And it's just like, why did they do a dialogue break for this? You could have either put it into the song because once again, the song has no theme anyway, or done it later. The next part of the song is just Sing talking some more exposition anyway. It really feels like this song exists just because they needed to hit a quota. It's explained in the song that Cinderella used to go to school with the Queen of Hearts, and way back when someone played a really mean prank on her, which made her turn evil. Someone played one prank on her, and she started murdering people. They don't actually explain what the prank is at this exact moment, but keep that in the back of your head because they will reference it constantly. The next bit of the song is just the Queen talking about how it's better to be feared than to be loved, but I still argue that this should have been more than one song. Like, if the Queen of Hearts wants to have a song about how it's better to be feared than to be respected, then you probably should have done that when she said it twice in the scene where she showed up. I don't get why they're also trying to do it when we're receiving critical exposition for our main characters. I give this song a solid 5.5 out of 10, and I know I spent like 3 minutes bitching and moaning about it, but it's really not that bad to actually listen to. It's just so crazy how much shit happens in it. The next song happens immediately after this song when everyone finds their seats and the fairy godmother brings out Uma onto the stage. The fourth song is just a new version of What's My Name, and it's not that bad. I mean, the song was a banger in the second movie, but this just did not need to be here. Not only did we just finish a song, but we are now 27 minutes into this movie and we're still getting exposition in the form of songs. You know you're allowed to talk to people when you need to explain something, right? So Uma begins her commencement speech, but the Queen of Hearts decides that she doesn't want to be lectured to by a black woman. So she decides that now is a better time than ever to do a good old-fashioned coup. I mean, she goes the full 9 yards with it too. Sky turning red, soldiers coming out of cards. This is actually kind of impressive. And just when you think it can't get any worse, she does this.
No.
Chat, leave a comment down below. Which was the most epic Disney moment? Was it when Hela destroyed Mjolnir, or was it when the Queen of Hearts destroyed the fairy godmother's wand? After a successful coup and some more parental neglect, Cinderella speaks up and says, "You're better than this," which is the equivalent of trying to talk down a terrorist by holding their hand and saying, "Please stop this, for me." This is where we learned what happened at that fated school dance so many years ago. Someone turned her into a monster. That's pretty much it. Don't get me wrong, I mean, like, that would suck, but, I mean, all of this? For a prank that was played on you? By someone who's not even present here. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I was dancing with a dashing prince or whatever at a school dance, I wouldn't want to be turned into a Baldur's Gate 3 character, but Jesus, really? And what's so funny about all of this is that the Queen blames Cinderella for it because she wasn't there to protect her. This is because she was canonically getting down and dirty with Prince Charming. Cinderella refuses to swear allegiance to a tyrant, which is real of her, but the Queen turns it into a second chance for Red to sentence someone to her untimely death. She struggles with this until Cinderella comments on the fact that Red can't do it because Red knows it's wrong. And Red takes that shit to heart. I mean, immediately after Cinderella says that, Red sentences her to having her head chopped off and is taken away in front of her daughter. But then she remembers, wait, murder is bad, adoy. So she pulls the time machine out of her pocket. Chloe tries to fight the Queen, but when Red tries to intervene, they get sent back in time. Ooh, scary. So Chloe and Red are sent back in time like 25 years or so. I don't know if they give an exact number, but you can tell it's about 3 decades when they run into a young fairy godmother. But Chloe doesn't seem to want to fuck around in the civil rights era. She wants to get back and save her mother. Though Red wants to stay and realizes the potential of being back at the same school as both of their mothers. This is the third song of the film, titled Fight of Our Lives, and it's honestly not that great. I do like that they have a discussion and figure out what their next move is, but they really fight with the beat more than they fight with each other. And that's saying something because this fight and this song go on for 3 minutes. But after almost kissing, or whatever this is, they decide that they're on the same side and that they need to work together. I give the song a 4.5 out of 10, but I do actually enjoy when these characters start fully interacting with each other. They have a really fun dynamic and it's actually expanded on pretty well throughout the film. The girls learn that they are in Merlin Academy, which is what Auradon Prep was before the Beauty met the Beast. They also learn about the dance that's going to happen where they can stop the prank that ruins the Queen's life, But before they do that, they gotta get to class! Nah, I'm just kidding, but it would be pretty funny if they just spent the next 30 years living out their regular lives. Instead, they run into the famous Merlin, played by Jeremy Swift. Merlin is a very fun character, and Jeremy Swift acts circles around everyone else in this movie, which is probably because he's the only one who's been in a real TV show before. He tells them that even though he can't find their transfer papers, the school does have a goal of educating all who wish to be educated, so he lets them attend class and gives them a free dormitory. You know, I don't ever think anybody assumed that these movies took place in America, but this is solid proof that they don't. Merlin takes the girls to attend the class that he teaches, Honors Alchemy, which just so happens to have a younger version of Cinderella and the Queen of Hearts in attendance. This is Bridget, played by Ruby Rose Turner. If I had to describe her as quickly as possible, I would say that she is literally just Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony without the insanity. An absolute polar opposite to the woman she grows up to be. Never misses a chance to say please and thank you, and makes more cupcakes than a Publix. And on the other side of the arena, we have Ella, played by Morgan Dudley. I actually don't have nearly as much to say about her. She's kind of exactly what you expect a younger version of Cinderella to be like. I mean, it's not like we have a full movie about the origins of her character, so we couldn't know anything about her. Anyway, let's get back to Bridget. Oh, Bridget, you lovable scamp. Who puts flamingo feathers on a cupcake? Oh, you're such a silly goose. And it makes your nails pink. Oh, that is so cute, girly. And you have a musical number, which is probably the best one in the movie. You are just the gift that keeps on giving, queen. The sixth song of the movie takes place after class ends and is titled Life is Sweeter. Okay, I actually really like this song. I enjoy how fun it is, I enjoy how preppy it is, the visual effects and everything turning pink is just fun. That being said, there is just no reason for this song to be in the movie. We are now halfway into this movie. We've just entered what most people would consider to be the second act. This is a 3-minute song that exists to tell us what we already figured out, that being the queen wasn't always evil. We didn't need a song to tell us that. I think the cupcakes that turned her nails pink were already enough. I think the fact that she was pink was already enough. Prince Charming does show up in the song and everyone thirsts over him, except for Chloe because once again, this movie doesn't take place in America. But about halfway through, some of the villain kids show up and we learn why racism needs to exist in this godforsaken country. Now, there are a lot of these fuck-ass VKs here, but only one of them matters, that being Uliana, played by Dara Renee. She's the younger sister of Ursula and the aunt of Uma. That's cool and all. Why isn't it just Ursula? I'm being so serious, I think it's just because she's gonna show up in a future movie. Maleficent, Captain Hook, and Hades show up here too, but I don't think they have any dialogue at all, so they don't get name cards. That all being said, this is one of the best parts of the song, and then when it turns back to the upbeat part of the song and there's still the villainous motifs littered throughout the song, overall, I give this song like a 9 out of 10. So the song ends and Uliana reveals herself to be a terrible person. Never would have guessed. I'm so serious, that is probably the most actually evil thing a person has done in this entire series. Uliana takes 2 of the flamingo feathers off of the cupcakes and eats them. But Uliana quickly finds out, you are what you eat. Yeah, thank you. I'll be here all night. Thank you. Bridget tried to tell her that you're not supposed to eat more than 1 of those feathers. 1 of them makes your pants pink. 5 of them turns you into a creature against God's creations. So naturally, Uliana blames Bridget for this, even though it's not her fault literally at all. Though a quick dip in the enchanted fountain takes care of her physical issues, but the anger issues are still ever present. On the bright side, our main characters now know who does the prank, so they have the who, the why, and the when. All they need now is the how. Quick break so Prince Charming can rizz up Ella and ask if she's going to Castle Coming, and I swear to God, Chloe's hair was much lighter like one scene ago. Nope, focus. Although Bridget is happy about Prince Charming seeming interested in Ella, she's still upset that she doesn't have a date. So Ella asks Bridget to go to Castle Coming as friends. Listen, Ella, you're gonna have to let Bridget down easy, because that is the most romantically infatuated person I have seen in my 23 long years. Even Red gives Chloe the famous, "my mom is bisexual" stare. When I first watched this movie, I actually screamed because I fully thought Bridget was just gonna kiss her on the lips right then and there. Red and Chloe decide that their next course of action is to figure out more about Uliana, and they figure the person who would know the most about her would be Ella, since she's the only character in the movie they've made friends with besides Bridget. They arrive at Ella's house where they're forced to do chores, or else the evil stepmother will withhold food from Ella. After literally 1.5 minutes of gossiping about Uliana and Bridget, Chloe fucks up big time and knocks over a vase. Ella's punishment for this is being grounded and getting told to sleep in the barn. I mean, wow, it's a miracle she turns out to be a good person. So after Ella goes off on Chloe, Red and Chloe head to the Black Lagoon, where Uliana is hiding. The next 3 minutes and 14 seconds is the 7th song of the movie, titled Perfect Revenge. I have nothing to say about this song. Everything about it is pretty mid. Uliana calls on the spirits of the Black Lagoon to give her an idea of the perfect revenge because she's too lazy to do it herself. Wow. She would have loved ChatGPT. The spirits tell Uliana to find an evil book and use it to make an evil dessert. There is no way that you needed to call upon evil spirits so that they could tell you to use a fucking Easy Bake Oven. Not only that, but it's literally just what happened to you earlier. The next step in stopping Uliana is to find the book that was shown in the evil spirit's vision. They already asked Ella for help, and there's only one other character in this movie, so they have to ask Bridget. Is it not kind of crazy that Ella doesn't even have a dorm at BBC Merlin Academy? Chloe and Red got one, and they don't even attend the school. Sure, you could make the argument that Ella's stepmother wouldn't want her to have good things, but if I was a deadbeat step-parent, I wouldn't want a kid I don't love in my house. But I guess if you get rid of her, you don't have anyone to take care of your perpetually dusty rooms. They go ask Bridget about the cookbooks, and they find her practicing her signature move for castle coming. This dance also has the name of the 8th song of the movie, titled Shuffle of Love. The full song doesn't actually play here. If you want to hear the full thing, you have to either wait for the credits or watch the tie-in short film. But I'm actually fine with them not playing the full song because there's 20 minutes left of this movie and we're not even in the 3rd act yet. So after like 3 minutes of trauma dumping and Bridget being the most adorable person ever, Red asks about the Sorcerer's Cookbook, and they find that it's kept under lock and key in Merlin's office. The book is also enchanted so that no evildoers can get their hands on them. Wait, so what if the book is just like Thor's hammer and then Uliana tries to pick it up and just snaps her spine? Chloe thinks that coming clean is the best move since the book is enchanted. But Red thinks that they should break in and steal the book. Blah blah blah. Red says that being nice isn't always what's right. It's what got Chloe's mom killed, and Chloe says that Red is an evil bitch. Oh, that's good. They finally have their falling out because there's only 15 minutes left in this movie and Castle Coming is tomorrow, so they gotta pick up the pace a bit. Chloe goes to ask Ella for advice because the last scene had Bridget, so now this one has to have Ella. Okay, I can't ignore it any longer. Who the hell did the wig for this movie? These things have less consistency than a cheesecake without cream cheese. The 8th song of the movie is titled Get Your Hands Dirty, and it's probably my favorite song of the movie. The reason I really like this song is because it is a peppy pop song, but it's about how it's sometimes good to be bad, and not how everything is as black and white as Chloe thinks it is. But it is kind of crazy that she never learned this lesson, considering her mom is the one singing it to her. How is this not a lesson that Cinderella hasn't already taught Chloe? Honestly, that's a pretty nitpicky complaint to have at this point in the movie anyway. Wait, actually, how did they do this? This isn't nitpicky, this is just impossible. Red is on her way to break into the principal's office when Chloe pulls up and says that she'll help commit trespassing and theft because she sang a song about how it's okay to be morally gray. Understandably, Merlin's office is littered with booby traps. And by booby traps, I mean swords that kill you. Yeah, I get having traps in your office, especially when there's such valuable shit in there, but I feel like using dangerous weaponry in a school may not be the wisest thing, right? Like, 99% of the people who try to break into this office are going to be students of the school. Case in point, the people currently breaking into this office are students of the school. After avoiding all the kill swords that kill you, Merlin's office summons the Kill Knight that kills you. It's defeated with relative ease when Chloe, for some reason, decides to take off her shoes and throw them at the owl that is controlling stuff in the room. Actually kind of insane that she did that, but okay. But after all of that, they still have to deal with the villain kids. So get ready to throw down. Oh, okay, never mind. The book freezes them all in place since it's enchanted. Red also steals Hook's boots, and honestly, I would not want to put those on my feet if I were you. I mean, Maleficent is right there, and she probably has better hygiene, right? Okay, I mean, she's probably cooked either way, but this movie does mean that Captain Hook canonically has girlishly small feet. They get back the book, and they have a heart-to-heart about being good people, and Ella lets Red open the book, proving that she actually is a good person. Which is a cool moment and all, but like, what if that wasn't how it worked? I get what this symbolizes, but the whole point is that you need to get the book away from the villains, which you did. This was just an unnecessary risk. But after Merlin shows up, Red and Chloe decide it's time to skedaddle, and the villains all take the fall for what happened. Now that they have the cookbook, they decide that they don't need to be there for Castle Coming. Wait, really? That's what the entire movie was building up to. I mean, seriously, they've been talking about this thing happening since like 20 minutes into the movie, and then it never even gets shown? They don't even say goodbye to Bridget and Ella either, and I mean, yeah, sure, they're their parents, but you know what I mean. And one of the VKs still got away anyway. I feel like they had all of the makings of a good third act, and there just isn't one. Wait, so how long is left in the movie anyway? 3.5 minutes? Even with just 3 minutes left in this movie, I feel like they need more time to solve all this conflict, so let's see what happens. The time machine takes them right back to before the queen does her whole coup d'etat thing, but now instead of summoning dozens of soldiers and turning the sky into hell, she makes some bubble hearts. Really? You interrupted the ceremony for that? Uma doesn't even give her speech after that. Literally all she says is, "Nothing I say is gonna top that." And everyone just hugs and dances, and they sing a reprise of Life is Sweeter. And Uma says that there's probably gonna be a sequel. So that's fun. And yes, there is a reprise and a remix of the same song at the end of the movie, and also it's a song that didn't even play in the movie. And that's it. Uma does the thing where she's like, "You didn't think that was the end of the story, did you?" And then the movie ends. That's it. That was the movie. That was just an hour and 30 minutes of exposition with no third act. Oh. Okay. Well, he's up there now. I'm just gonna hope that he doesn't, well, I guess whatever was in the water at Disney HQ certainly wasn't strong enough. Honestly, I'm really disappointed at how much of a nothing burger this movie was. I think it's super easy to be disappointed in the Descendants movies because it's one of the few DCOMs that gets to have full access to Disney's entire repertoire of characters, and they somehow make these movies as interesting as the 13-hour flight that ends you up in Connecticut. This is a problem I've had since the first movie, but a lot of the most interesting characters in these movies aren't even the Descendants. A lot of the more interesting characters are the adults of the universe. I think we need to have a Descendants movie where the parents are the main characters, and this does not count. But I guess if we did that, we'd just be watching the original film, so never mind. That being said, the time travel angle does kind of ruin how interesting the movie could be. Can you imagine how much more interesting it would have been if we had to watch Red and Chloe fight martial law against Red's mother in a city neither of them have been to before? But instead, we get a time travel movie where the most interesting part of the movie does not happen in the movie. What do you mean? The entire film builds up to one huge prank and they never put it on screen. As far as I'm concerned, the only prank that was played was on me because I spent 90 minutes of my time watching this movie and I renewed my Disney Plus subscription to do it. I'm not a complete nihilist though, so here are some parts of the movie that I did like. I enjoyed the music, kinda. Some of the songs feel like they should have been on Kids Bop because the production value is less than the income of a child factory worker in the 1800s. But some of the songs that aren't riding on the coattails of songs that have already existed are pretty good. Shuffle of Love is actually pretty good, too bad they don't play the entire thing in the movie. Life is Sweeter is also a lot of fun, and the visuals during that song are just great. While we're on the topic of visuals, one of the biggest problems with the Descendants movies is that all of these movies look the same. If you took a frame from Descendants 1, 2, and 3, lined them up, put a gun to the back of my head, and said, guess which frame goes to which movie or I pull the trigger, I'd tell you to make it a clean shot because I got no fucking clue. And you know, funny enough, I was gonna say the same thing about the Zombies movies, but that's not even true. Every single one of the Zombies movies has a new location to explore, I mean, save the last one. But it's so funny because this movie makes an effort to go back in time so we can be at Auradon Prep again. Wonderland is such an interesting setting for the film. Visually, yes, it is a little tiring to look at, but I think if they actually decided to make a full film take place here, they probably would have bothered to make it a little less red. This is just like in Zombies 4, where they have both of these cool-ass towns to visit, but they spend the entire fucking movie in what is the visual equivalent of BYU. Rounding it all out, I feel like a 3 out of 10 isn't even that crazy of a ranking to give to this movie. There's literally no reason to watch it over any of the other previous Descendants movies, especially because they forgot to finish writing this one. I mean, seriously, it would have been so easy to have a good climax to this film. I mean, yeah, sure, we would have seen it coming from a mile away, but then at least your movie would have had a climax. But that combined with the fact that the songs in this movie overall aren't as good as its predecessors, yeah, it's going much lower than the others. For the fun score, it's actually probably closer to like a 6 out of 10. The songs aren't horrible, and I could see some kids liking and singing along to it. It also has plenty of value if you want to poke fun at it. And trust me, given by the length of this video, I can tell you it's pretty easy to do. Thanks for watching, guys. Welcome to the first video of Season 7, since Season 6 was pretty much a nightmare and only had 4 videos across the span of, I think, 2 years. I just said, screw it, we're skipping to Season 7. Also, my parole officer is here to make sure I don't do that again. At least my output of content is better than most streaming shows these days, but, you know, I guess I don't have a whole production company, so maybe not the biggest flex in the world. Oh, and also I'm moving again. 2 videos ago I said I moved, but that was a temporary thing. Well, I guess this was a temporary thing because I'm still here, but the big move for me is happening in 1 month, so by the time you see this, I'll probably already be in North Carolina, so say goodbye to this recording location. But I've actually started working on another video after this one, so hopefully the wait won't be as long again. Until then, remember to buy as much gold as you can, invest all of your money in meme stocks, and don't take strange time travel devices from DILFs. Really, all the odd shit I say, and that's where you draw the line.